Hey, what's up? Tonight we are looking at 35 little boxes of helpful advice, and I created this for you so you can maximize your dispute IQ. And these are actionable tips. Now, all you have to do is open that description, click on the link, go grab your PDF, and go over these one by one with me. All right, it is totally free. Like I said, link is in the description. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Kristen. I fix credit for a living, and I have over 450 videos that show you, the consumer, how to fix your credit for free the right way. Not with templates, not using all these 85,000 page letters full of law, but using factual based disputes. And if you actually would want to see if it would be a good fit for me to take over your file instead and do a credit sweep for you, use the link also in the description and I'll see what I can do for you. Now, go click that link, grab the PDF, and let's start going through these one by one. All right, so number one, send each bureau letter out on a different day. Now, if that sounds a little bit weird, I am actually taking that directly from testimony given in a lawsuit. All right, it is very important to understand and know your lawsuits when it comes to fixing your credit. But if you're just fixing your own credit, then maybe it's not something that you need to know. So let me just fill you in on this. All right, so without really going into detail, what was told in this testimony was that to maximize your results, send your letters out. It doesn't matter which bureau you're sending out, but send them out on different days. So if you have 3 letters, one for Equifax, one for TransUnion, and one for Experian, send one out Monday, send one out Tuesday, and send one out Wednesday. You can also do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And for whatever reason, like I said, we're not going to go into it right now. These are just tips. For whatever reason, it can maximize your results. And that is the only thing that we care about. Sometimes the why behind it doesn't matter. It really just matters about the how, okay? The next one is, and you've heard me say this before, but it's so important, maximum of 10 accounts per letter. Maximum 10 accounts per letter. If you have 50 accounts that you're disputing, yes, you should send all dispute for all 50 accounts, but not in one letter. I mean, unless you're sending out, medical disputes, because you can actually put an unlimited number of medical in one letter, right? So if you have 450 collections, then send 450 collections in one letter. But otherwise, if you're disputing non-medical collections, foreclosures, repossessions, bankruptcies, late payments, charge-offs, etc., then those should be a maximum of 10 accounts per letter. All right. Moving on to the next one. So maximum of 1 dispute reason per account. So if you recall, obviously you really should be able to recall because it was like 2 seconds ago, but if you have a maximum of 10 accounts per letter, each account should only have 1 dispute reason. So I see this happen all the time where, someone goes and says, well, hey, I have all these factual disputes and I'm seeing all these different inaccuracies. It's the day last active, it's the day last paid, it's the payment status details, it's, this, that, and the third. And they stick it all in one letter for that one account. That is not something that you want to do. And I've actually done this myself. Truth be told, I've actually done this myself. You might have heard me say this in a prior video. This was back when I was just coming into factual disputes and, experimenting because I was just tired of what I actually had to deal with, right? Just the laws and the templates and, trying to figure out how to get my clients better results. So the beginning stages of factual disputes, like I said, I was like, hey, I'm going to stick all these in one letter. And I even remember the clients that I was working on and where I was writing my disputes and all this. I mean, it's like fresh in my mind, okay? So I would stick all of these factual disputes, and it would be like American Express, and I'd have 6 different reasons on one account. And then guess what? That account wouldn't come off. Now what do? Well, you obviously are stuck because you need to use the next best dispute reason. But if you did 6 dispute reasons in one letter, you can never use those dispute reasons again. I mean, if you want to learn how to reuse a dispute reason type, when I say type, I'm talking about like date last active, date last paid, so on and so forth. You're going to want to go check out the free webinar called the Evolution Line Method. And it actually teaches you how to reuse dispute reasons so that you stay in the top of the hierarchy for disputing. So your biggest ammo disputes. All right. So what you don't want to do is stick more than one reason per account. All right, take it from me. See, I give you this information because I've tested it. It is, it's not where I just come up with it one day and say, hey, I'm going to explain this to you and teach it to you and blah, 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 and it's brand new information. No, everything that I say and everything that I do and everything that I share with you is battle tested. I do all the hard work first so that you don't have to do it yourself. Moving on. Do not sign your letters. The signature on your license doesn't really matter, or on your passport or whatever. You don't need to make a photocopy of it and black it out. Don't go through all that. I mean, it would be very difficult for them to extract your signature and then blow it up and then transpose it over to a contract. They're not going to go through all that crap. But what they will do, and when I say they, it's most likely going to be the collection agencies. They will take that signature that's just on regular white paper that you signed, and they're going to transpose it, meaning they're going to take it off your letter, very simply. It doesn't even need to be Photoshop or anything. And they're going to stick it on a contract that you didn't sign. And then when you say, hey, I don't know what this account is, please send me a contract with my signature. Guess what? Here comes a contract that you know for a fact you didn't sign because maybe that account doesn't even belong to you. Maybe it's a utility bill out of Georgia and you live in California and you've never lived anywhere other than California. So do yourself a favor. Don't sign your letters. You do not need to sign your letters. You do not need to go and get them notarized. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You guys are doing way too much, and you should put that energy into actually doing the things that are going to increase your results. And the only way you can do that is by knowing how and what to do. All right. Next one, do not falsely claim identity theft or not mine. The number one thing that you can do to screw up your credit is lying. Lying. If the account belongs to you, don't say that it's not yours. I had this conversation with earlier today with someone on the phone where they were like, well, my accounts didn't come off and I disputed them and I'm at my wit's end and I made CFPB complaints, and we're actually going to talk about that in a minute. But I'm so frustrated and I need a professional to take over. I sent out these disputes for this, I think it was a Chase account, and I said that I needed the verification and they sent me some statements, and I'm like, wait a second, did this account actually belong to you? And they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, the number one mistake that you just made and you just told me was that you disputed an account that actually belongs to you as not yours. If something belongs to you, number one, don't lie about it. Number two, you need to know how to dispute these things to get them off, right? So, don't get frustrated. Take that energy and put it into learning how to actually dispute it correctly, right? But save yourself the time, the energy, the frustration, all that kind of stuff. And number one, like I said, don't dispute something as not mine or identity theft when you are not a victim of identity theft. That is actually fraud. It's a C felony, attempted benefit, and a fraud. People actually go to jail for 6 months for this fraud, and you don't want to put yourself in that position. All right, moving on. Charge-offs will report a balance if they are unpaid. I don't know where you guys are getting this information from. Maybe it's just misinformation. Maybe you're misunderstanding. Maybe you're mishearing. And maybe you're just hearing something that you wish were true. If an account is not paid, it's going to report a balance. And that includes charge-offs. Don't dispute directly with a debt buyer. Okay, there are 2 exceptions. Number 1, identity theft. Number 2, outside the statute of limitations. And number 3, I don't really know what number 3 was going to be. It was like right at the tip of my tongue. We'll just stick with those two. So outside the statute limitations, and the second one is it doesn't belong to you. I don't want you to put yourself in a position where you're just asking to be sued. And for those of you out there that are going to say something about, well, if they sue me, they have to prove it and blah, blah, blah. Well, okay. They're going to be able to when they go to court, and, a very large percentage of these companies win. So I just don't want you putting yourself in that position. And another thing is about saving all that hateful energy. I meant to say this in a prior video. Everything that I put out there, with this information is for you to go and succeed. And I know that there's no company that offers what I do. Everyone else out there is only disputing 5 to 15% of, consumer files. They're only doing one bureau at a time. They're only using templates. They take 3 minutes out of their day to press 2 buttons. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Out pops a letter. Okay. And it's like, 1 to 3 years, yet here I am, not only putting out 450 videos that show you how to do this yourself for free, but for the people that actually don't want to do this themselves, I do 100% of the negative items all at the same time, 100% of the bureaus. It's 100% custom, and you actually get the copies of the disputes, which other companies don't do. So take all that hateful, negative energy and put it towards a place that actually belongs, with those scamming companies. All right. So everything that I put out is to the best of my ability and knowledge, and it's to actually help you guys move forward, find a better life for, yourself, obviously for your family, and to have a better future. You know what I mean? Because I've actually been through this myself, and that's why I do what I do, how I do it. So anywho, moving on, third-party collectors are not debt buyers. A third-party collector is one that is collecting on behalf of another company, and a debt buyer is one that actually purchases the debt, normally in bulk, with like booklets and whatnot. They are not the same. They are not handled the same. Do not send a validation of debt to the credit bureaus. They're not going to validate any debt, and that is not how you remove negative items. So a VOD will normally go to a third-party debt collector, such as just a regular collection agency, utility bill, cell phone, medical, etc. Do not send a VOD to the original creditor. Now, there is a very specific letter to send to the original creditor. It's using section 623 that allows you to dispute directly with the creditor after you've disputed with the bureaus. Moving on. Make sure to send all required identification, copies of ID, SSN, proof of address. So you're going to send your license, military, ID, passport, whatever, something with your picture. You're going to send a utility bill, cell phone bill, pay stub, W-2, something with your name and your address. And then you're also going to send something to prove your social security number. Okay. Now, things have changed a little bit. See, I require all 3 from my clients because I'm not going to try to sift through and figure out, did this client not send me all the required information? Oh, well, I have to go after them to get the required information. No, I require every single piece from every single client. And if they can't provide it, then I can't provide the service. Okay. So now if you're just doing this for yourself, then, you just don't want to put yourself in a position to have the bureaus basically deny your request, right? So if you're disputing something that has to do with your identity, you're going to require the social. So 100 times out of 100 times, I am going to send a copy of that social so that the bureaus can't send a stall tactic, a scare tactic, or whatever. Like, I get my stuff processed one way or another, all right? Don't forget to include your full social security number on your letter. So now when you're writing the creditor or the collector, you are going to put XXXXX1234. With the bureaus, you're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Don't send pictures of envelopes for address proof. I see this all the time, and I have to get on my clients over and over and over again. Proof of address is not a picture of an envelope. Like, whoever said that that was going to be proof of address. No, dude, you need to open that sucker up, take a picture of it, scan it, whatever, and it just needs to be one page. But don't send something that is just going to get the whole shebang declined. Don't do it. You're just going to waste 45 days of your life and you're going to be back at square one, and then now what, right? Credit repair suicide, we already went over this, but it is not mine. And the next one is false identity theft equals an attempt to benefit and defraud. And we talked about that. I don't want you going to jail. I don't want you going to jail. And even if the cops don't come knocking on your door, if you've been, basically the majority, right, of your entire adult life or even your whole life, you've been a law-abiding citizen. And even if you haven't, that's okay too. I'm not judging. And then all of a sudden you are making false police reports and saying that something does not belong to you when you obviously went, got the money or the credit, you used it, didn't pay it, and now you're trying to get out of it. It doesn't work like that. Don't do it. Hey, look, you could do whatever you want to. It's your life, your credit, your future, your freedom, right? But I know what happens. I know what's on the other side. So don't do it. All right. So the key to this is the dispute reason. Let me figure out what I'm trying to say. The key equals dispute reason, not dispute letter text. Oh, okay. Let me explain this one. I just didn't have enough room to write it. So the entire key to this is not the actual letter body in a letter, right? It's not that first paragraph. It's actually the dispute reason. So it doesn't even need to be a paragraph. It could be investigate the following information. And that could be your entire letter. The rest of it is just your accounts and your dispute reasons, right? Keep that in mind. And that goes for all these templates too. I'm not going to go into the whole template thing because you know how much I hate templates. Anyways. Okay. The power and the key behind your entire letter lies in the dispute reason. You can actually just send a piece of paper with your personal information, the account numbers, and the reasons, and the same thing is going to happen as if you sent a full letter with everything that's required. All right, that's the truth behind it. I tested it. Templates get flagged by the first computer, the OCR. So there is a system where the letters are opened. They are fed into another computer, the OCR. The OCR will read the letter. If it can, it's going to determine if it's a template. If it is a template, it's automatically verified. And that is the end of the road for your letter. You are now back at square one. You have to remember that the bureaus do everything possible to reject your letter. Guys, they are not there to help you. They are not there to be your friend. They are not there to raise your score. They are there to keep your information inaccurate because that is how they make money off you. Okay? That is how they make money off of you. Why do you think the FCRA was enacted to begin with? Okay, there's a huge conflict of interest. They are the ones that make the systems. They are the ones that obtain, maintain, and sell your information. And they are also the same people that do the investigations on said information. Okay, so there's a huge flaw with this entire process, and that's exactly what it is. It's a process, but you have to understand that they're not there to help you. They are a complaints department. They're a complaint department, and you are sending in complaints about information reported about accounts that you did not pay, right? You just have to look at this for what it is, because when you do, it makes the whole thing a lot easier and you can move on with your life and get the scores that you need to, get the credit that you need to. Don't send templates. Certified mail does not equal a faster investigation. I don't know where people think that because they overnighted their mail, or they sent it priority, or they sent it certified, or they, taped it to a pigeon, that they're going to get a faster investigation. No, dude. There's a pile of mail, and all that mail goes into that one pile. It's not 3 buckets. Regular mail, certified mail, and overnight mail. No, it's the mail. And the mail gets processed as the mail gets processed. Another thing to remember is that, and these numbers are coming from quite a few years ago, so I'm sure it's extrapolated by 1 million. The bureaus used to get 10,000 letters per day per bureau. Add on top of that, obviously, the time in between, the more consumers that are disputing, because obviously 68 million people have poor or bad credit out of the 220 million scorable people. So out of those 68 million people, how many people do you think that are actually disputing, all right? Even if it's just one time. Add on top of that the pandemic and the millions of people that didn't pay their bills, and you have anywhere between 10 to 50,000 letters per day per bureau with our current global situation. So there's got to be something special about your letter, and it's not going to be the postage stamp on it. A regular stamp will do. And don't bother trying to beat the OCR. Don't bother with the coffee or the staples or the purple ink or the crumpled paper. Send a letter that gets results. And the way you do that is by watching my videos, or, going through my course, or being in my beta program, or using my apps, or using my software, or, whatever, using my free downloads for all that matters. This information is there for a reason, to teach you the right way to do this. Dispute all inquiries with the creditor, not the bureaus. The bureaus are not the ones that remove the inquiries, and you might get lucky and actually get them to remove your inquiries, but 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you it's a matter of record and you have to have the creditors do it. Just get that 50-cent stamp, slap it on an envelope, and start disputing with the creditors. Now, there is a rapid inquiry removal method. You can go check that out at expertcreditsweeps.com/VOD, as invalidation of debt. That is also on there. It is totally free. It might work for you. If it does, great. If it doesn't, I have a free inquiry removal webinar that shows you, all the other ways to do it. And that is also, like I said, free. Bureaus never furnish docs or proof. That's because they don't have any. Dude, they are a business. They're in the data business. They're not in the credit business. They don't care about having accurate information. They care that they are being paid to report your information. Their customer is the creditor. You are not their customer. Regardless of whether you have, credit monitoring with them or whatever, when it comes to disputing, when it comes to your credit, their customer is the creditor. The creditor is their customer. You are not. They do not care. All they care about is their money, and the way that they make their money is by having your information be inaccurate, because it's more valuable to their customer, who therefore, hence, whatever, semicolon, ... is the creditor. Hello, connect the dots here. Bureaus report whatever they're paid to. Like I said, they don't have documentation. If you're asking them to furnish something that doesn't exist, sometimes you're probably just going to be wasting your breath, and sometimes it might work, because guess what? They're actually required to have the documentation prior to reporting it. So keep that in mind when you're disputing. What gives you the right to report this information? Because if it's as simple as you're reporting whatever you're paid to report, then that means that I can open up a business, I can buy a bunch of people's information, and then I can say that all these people owe me money and I'm not going to have to prove anything, right? I mean, if it's really that simple, then anybody could do that. Ask for an independent investigation. So if you go back through my live videos, you're going to find one about, I believe it was I don't know if it was breaking down Section 623 and Section 611, or if it was about Cushman versus TransUnion from 1997. But anywho, I believe it was about the lawsuit. So in Cushman versus TransUnion from 1997, Congress stated that the bureaus cannot just simply parrot what the creditor says, and that they actually have to do an independent investigation, because they have a grave responsibility to ensure the accuracy of the information reported on your credit report, right? And that's almost verbatim taken from it. There's only about 6 useful pages on there as far as like knowledge for disputing. But anywho, the important thing here is that they cannot just report whatever the heck they want to. They cannot just say that something is verified. Once they say that it is verified and you disagree with it, now they actually have to go beyond their original source of information to ascertain that the information reported in your credit report is accurate. Okay. CFPB comes after exhausting all your remedies. I also went over that with that same person today who said that they made CFPB complaints about stuff that they claimed was not theirs, that was actually theirs, and they're totally frustrated with the process. Well, that's because you put yourself in that process and you frustrated yourself because of the process that you put yourself in. Anywho, the way that it works is that the CFPB is a last resort. They are not going to take, any, how do I put this nicely? They're not going to give a crap about you unless you do what you're supposed to and help yourself first. You are supposed to have a log of all these violations and all of the work that you put into, fixing this yourself before you ever go to them. So that when you do go to them, you have 12 months of proof that you've been sending factual-based disputes. You are not sending templates. You're not sending the same letters that millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of other people are sending in and also complaining about. You took the time and waited and were patient, as you should be, because this is obviously a life-changing process and the one thing that stands in the way of getting everything that you could have ever wanted in your entire life. So if you don't, they're just going to stick your complaint in bin number 1, and bin number 1 is purge these files. They're not going to take you seriously. I mean, I've seen it happen time and time and time again. So if you are going to utilize the CFPB, you have to have your copies of your documentation. You have to have your log of violations. You have to have proof that they're not responding to you. You have to have proof of all these things. You can't just jump from, hey, I sent in 1 round, 2 rounds. I didn't get my results. Now I'm going to complain. Like, dude, that's laughable. That's laughable. Like, no wonder why you're not getting anywhere, because you're being impatient. This is a process. This is a process, okay? Holiday season, max of 3 accounts per letter. So this can actually increase your ability to obtain deletions or, corrections, whatever. So during the holiday season, and this has actually already started, send a max of 3 accounts per letter, and this will help you to get your results, all right? Use the flashcard system to map your letters. So this is actually... Let me just explain what this one is really quickly. So there's a 4x6 flashcard system for web page copy, right? The text on your web page, on your sales page. And basically the way that it works is that every single section of your sales page you write down on a flashcard, and I guess it's supposed to increase the how fast you get your copy down and how good it is or whatever. There's like a system behind it. So when it comes to your dispute letters, you can do the same thing. You can map it out by writing each and every single part of your letter down on on different flashcards, and then put them down in front of you. Make sure that it makes sense, and make sure that you included everything, and then obviously transpose it over onto a letter. So just something to keep in mind. Use very clear dispute reasons. So if you go back a couple of videos, I explained, and if you also go back to the summer of 2018, that you want to have the language of your dispute reasons be congruent with the dispute, the 2 to 3 digit codes that are sent over to the creditors, right? Not mine, unknown, was never late, wrong balance. So when you're sending in your dispute, or date last active is wrong, right? So when you're sending in your dispute, you want to have language consistent with codes that already exist, so that the computer isn't just matching what you're saying to the wrong reason, the wrong code, because then it gets sent over to the creditor or the collector, and while they're not there to help you anyways, it's not going to do you any good to have put all this time into a letter that just can't be interpreted correctly. All right. Removing an old negative account can actually drop your credit score. Now, this is something that a lot of people don't even realize. I mean, 45% of your score is made up of your history. So obviously, by removing an account that has been on your credit for a long time, regardless of whether or not you understand scorecards, the way that it works is that if you have a 6-year credit history and now you remove an account that's been on there for 6 years and your next oldest account is only 2 years, then your credit score is going to drop because the 45% of your score that is made up by that history now changes. And instead of having a 6-year history, you now have a 2-year history, which thereby changes your history, right? So anywho, you are now going to have a crappy score because you have much shorter credit history. So yes, a negative account can actually be beneficial to you, especially if it's been paid. So keep that in mind when you're actually going through your credit, doing your analysis, and figuring out what to dispute and what not to dispute. The next one is you do not have to remove all your negative information. That kind of goes with the previous one. You should really only be disputing the things that are going to raise your score instead of just disputing everything just to dispute it, because what you're going to end up having happen is that you're going to remove something that is there, which is then going to drop your score. The next one is late payments must begin at 30 days late. So if you go back a couple of videos, we go over the student loans and how to remove the late payments from student loans. If you're seeing that they start at 90 days, then that's inaccurate according to the FCRA. So you actually want to have it show 30, 60, 90 days late. If it's not reported like that, then the account needs to either be removed or it needs to be updated. So you're always going to want to look at the late payment history and remember that all late payments start at 30 days. Bankruptcies must report the city and state. So go back to 2017 and you'll find my video on removing bankruptcies. And that is one of the number one ways of removing a bankruptcy, is remembering that it is absolutely 100% required that the account reports the city and the state. It can't just say U.S. bankruptcy court. Like, dude, it doesn't work like that. It's U.S. bankruptcy court, city, and state. If it doesn't report like that, then it doesn't belong on your credit report. All right. We have 3 left. Collections can't have a past due. How the hell is a collection going to have a past due when a collection by default is late? Obviously, I'm past due because, hello, it's in collections, right? So there is absolutely no reason, no legal reason that a collection can have a past due. It also cannot have late payments. Now that one's not on here, but obviously can't have late payments. All right, second to the last one, charge-offs cannot have a monthly payment. The damn account is closed. How am I paying monthly on it? An account must be open for there to be a monthly payment. And the last one is mail received is yesterday's news. Mail received is yesterday's news. So a lot of those credit repair companies out there make you send them your mail that you receive. Now, I could say quite a few things about that, but I am not going to. But what I will say is anything that comes in the mail is a deterrent. Anything that comes in the mail is yesterday's news. That would be like you, let's pretend that there is no internet. You have to get all your information directly from the newspaper. And when you go out, instead of finding today's newspaper, you find yesterday's news. You don't want yesterday's news. You got that news yesterday. You want today's news. What happened this morning? What happened last night? What did I miss? Well, I can't figure it out because the only information that I can access is yesterday's news. That is the same thing that is going on when you're receiving that crap in the mail. They're giving you a reason why they didn't remove your negative items. They're giving you a reason why you should stop disputing, okay? So what do you do instead of looking at the crap that comes in the mail? I mean, obviously, if it's a judgment, you got to deal with it. Obviously, there's certain things that you have to look at. But when it comes to disputing the information on your credit report, you get all your information directly from your credit report. That is today's news. That is today's news. It is not yesterday's news, okay? They being the creditors, collectors, bureaus, they create these things, they go in the mail, it comes to you finally 4 to 5 days later. Now you open it, now you read it, and it's not only yesterday's news, but it's like last week's news. We only care about today. We only care about what is right now and relevant. You can receive something in the mail that says something was not deleted, and then you go and look at your credit report and it's no longer there. Obviously, if it's not there, it was deleted, okay? So stop worrying about the crap that comes in the mail and start worrying about why a company is asking you for the information when all they have to do is access your credit report. The real reason behind that, and this is one of the 5 reasons, just so you know, is so that they can look like they're actually doing something for you because they're not doing anything at all. Hello? So, anywho, that is the end of this. You have 35 actionable tips here. Well, at least one of these is going to help you in your quest for a higher credit score. All right, guys, this is much longer than I wanted it to be. I have to hit the hay, and that is it. There are a ton of other videos that you can go through while you're driving to work, or you're on the bus going to work, or you're biking to work, or you're at the gym, or hanging out with your kids, or doing your homework. So take a second, put a couple minutes to the side, go through my videos, and find something that you didn't already know, because there is a ton of information out there, and it's going to work for you, I promise. Now, like I said, for the rest of you, if you need help and you want to see if it would be a good fit for me to take over your file, there is a link in the description, and you can go and schedule a call with me, and I will see if I can help, okay? I say no to a lot of people, but for the ones that I can help, I obviously can, right? So, anywho, I have a ton of other videos coming out, and I have 3 new apps coming out, and I am very, very excited about a new workshop that's coming out on automation that I am so excited to share with you. That is it. All right, I'm gonna stop blabbing. I'm going to go to bed, and I'm gonna get this video out to you. So have a great one from me to you. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with someone. Hit that bell for notifications, and I will see you next time. Bye.